And yes, we are live. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 10 of the Musty Wargamers.
Welcome.
Howdy,
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Evening.
And it looks like we got some people watching. No comments yet.
No comments yet.
If you're watching.
Oh, well. We're bound to say something that'll elicit a comment.
Yeah. That has a tendency to happen every once in a great while. Hey, Clark's in the house. Howdy, Clark.
Hey, Clark.
Mel is in.
No.
No comment on the no comments. So we do have a few people watching.
Cool.
I have had such a difficult time with pinning and epoxying a model. I've not had one this difficult in a while where I've messed it up and just kept trying at it. So I had to actually throw away some. I mean, one of the things that right off the bat that I did is I used a dollar store epoxy. So, and I did okay with it, but in the past at times, but I think it's not good enough for what I'm doing. And so I went out and got some LePage, like some brand name, good 5-minute epoxy. But yeah, it's this. Well, actually, maybe I'll show it later. It's an old school dragon. It's an old school Damon Prince. Because I'm holding him here, he's not as common, but I'll show him later. I can't move my hands right now for like 5 minutes.
So it makes it hard for you. Yeah, the worst thing is if people that talk with their hands and they're holding something, they go mute.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'm quiet now because I'm from New York.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yo, Rusty, Tim, Dan, look at this.
And pieces go flying, except for those that are glued to your hand.
So 5-minute epoxy. Yeah.
How is everybody going? It looks like Tim is in the corner up there, so he will be the first man up. So, how's your week been going for the last?
Well, it's been a challenging week because had to put my mom had been in the hospital for surgery, so I've been doing a lot of taking care of her and visiting her in the rehab center, and finally got her home.
Yeah.
But I was able to get a few things done.
Yo.
Yeah. Been working on my Successor Kingdoms project still. I know some people probably watch my channel and they go, oh God, not another unit of those guys.
What guys would those be?
Yeah, like
Goblins?
I got more of the cavalry done.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Cavalry with the Little Big Man Studio shield transfers. I did more of the fall foliage stuff on them.
I like that.
This is that red, heavily red and white transfers. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm not a real fan of it. Looks a little bit too uniform for me for this time period. So I think I'm going to, mix and match the two units that I've got done. Kind of do so they don't look so regiment. Now the other set of transfers, they were all pretty much different. But yeah, I don't know. I like them individually. But when I put them all together, it kind of makes it look really uniform. And I think that's a little too much for kind of what I'm going for. And what I like with this army is all that eclectic sort of color and look to it at the time period. Yeah. So, I went with a little bit more blues and reds and yellows in this unit, because I knew I was going to have those red shields on there, and I wanted them to at least look a little bit different. But yeah, I like them. I like the way the unit is. They're all Victrix, obviously, plastics, and I love the models and everything. But I just feel like that's just a little too regimented. Like yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's where you have to just take all your different ones you've painted over the years here and just mix them all into a.
That's kind of what I'm going to plan on doing, is just mix and match all the different shield transfers, and that way it doesn't look.
Yeah.
Because they're all based on either 25 by 50 or 50 by 50 bases, and so they'll all rank up fine, and they're all done the same way with magnets on the bottom and everything. Just a thin little movement tray that I made up. But yeah, that's basically what I've been working on. That, and I thought I got a couple of characters finished, but I bet I've still got them in the cabinet. I won't roll over and get them yet, but I'll wait till somebody talks, then I'll go get them. But that's kind of what I've been up to this week. I really wanted to get some terrain in and start working on another solo battle report, and but just haven't had the time. Life gets in the way, all that grown-up stuff.
Yeah.
You find that when you're retired, you have less time?
It goes in spurts right now, where it's like sometimes I'm really cranking out the hobby stuff, and then other times it's just like I'm just too busy. I can get a little thing here or there, kind of like when Dan's busy in the spring farming. He's just so busy. If you get a half hour, 45 minutes in your hobby room, Dan, you're probably thinking, wow, that's a victory today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And sometimes it's like, it's a week or a couple of weeks for you even get in. But, well, that's good. We're making some progress, though. So that's the main thing.
Oh, yeah. It's, I still got another bag of cavalry from Victrix to do. And actually, I forgot I had some more Gripping Beast metal command models come in the mail the other day. And I thought, I thought I'd got all that stuff, but no. And
that's a nice surprise.
But I got some books in that are really piquing my interest.
Different eras.
Yeah, kind of the 7 Years War.
I
got a book on that, and I also got another book. It's more of a scholarly work on the Iberian Peninsula, all the weapons and all the armor and where they came from, and whether they were made in country or were highly influenced by stuff that came in.
You showed that on your channel, I think.
Do what?
You showed that on your channel, I believe, right? That book.
Oh yeah, I did. On the last video I showed the books.
Yeah.
And I want to get this one for the Iberian Peninsula finished before I start on the 7 Years War. I'm going to try to show some discipline and not squirrel out. But I'm afraid that once I get into that, it might wind up being another large project that takes up quite a bit of my time.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many options, so many variations of that in places where part of the French and Indian War, it's the First World War, so we can you can fight it out anywhere,
anyhow.
Yeah, but I haven't made any choices on what armies I'm going to start with or anything like that. I really haven't even started my research phase yet. So that'll be fun. For me, that's fun. That's the fun part, is getting the books and researching all the leaders and figuring out what army you want to do. And I've made the mistake in the past by just jumping in and buying a bunch of stuff and then winding up going, pull the trigger too soon.
Have a little too much of this or that.
Yeah. But so over the last 10 years or so, I try to get all my research in first and then buy the armies.
Yeah, make sure you're sold on the idea.
I'm much happier that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm much happier that way. I don't have a bunch of boxes of stuff sitting around that I'm never going to paint.
Never.
But that's been my week.
Never is a big word. You know, it may take you 30 years to get around to it, but never say never.
Hey Dan, why don't you go? Even though I'm next technically on the screen, why don't you go next? Because I still got this
You
thing
can't talk with
I'm
his hands.
holding. I'd like to show some stuff when it comes my turn, but I gotta get this thing sorted.
Palmer's in a holding pattern.
Exactly.
All right. We can do that. Yeah, basically for me, I had some crazy family stuff going this week that I won't get into, but so that took a bunch of time the last 2 weeks. But I have done some hobby stuff, and big surprise, I'm still working on my Stalingrad table. And here's one of the things I'm working on right now. Let's see if we can get it without a whole bunch of light layering on it, but I guess it doesn't matter. You get the gist of it. It's
Nice.
yeah.
What's going on with that?
It's a plastic crane, industrial crane, and it's actually an old Airfix kit, and it's excuse me, I believe it's actually HO scale, which is smaller than 28 millimeter, but it's still just, and actually even the roof comes off, and you can fit a sniper team in there. I mean, it's big enough for that. It'll end up being a smaller crane than what it would be. It's supposed to be big enough that a rail car could drive underneath, but it's big enough that you can fit like a deuce and a half under it or something like that. So it's actually, it scales well. Then I put an HO scale or 28 millimeter ladder on the side to help scale it up.
Nice.
Yeah, and use thread for the cabling, and then glue so it's stays hanging down straight. So I've been working on that. I've got all the primary or the base coats on, and got the washes on, and then now I'm just starting to do the highlighting. And then the other things that I'm working on for that project are another couple of pieces for the same thing. This one here is actually just and I make them, they're all modular. I mean, these two can hook together. Beside this pipe sticking out the top here can look like it's going into the side of that tank there, and have them and put them different ways.
There's battle damage in that thing. It's got
I poked some battle damage through it on both sides. There's some machine gun holes and damaged the railing on the front, and the pipes going across have been damaged and broken. This is just it was a dry breadcrumbs container, and then I just added some banding on it, and then put some mesh on that wire screen mesh up here to make kind of like a diamond tread type pattern, and then just some the wire up here is just garden wire to make a railing around.
Is that green stuff?
Green
wire.
Well, it could be green. This happens with just galvanized that you get in the big rolls for like $7 in the actual
galvanized.
Yeah, it's actually the galvanized. And then this that's actually that tank on top is an HO scale rail car. On eBay, I got a lot of I think it was 3 or 4 of them for like $14 because they were kind of wrecked. But I just wanted the tanks is all I really wanted. So then I can use it as a storage tank here that's go up the ladder, and then just put some barrels and things around the bases, and then this is just plastic tubing that you buy. I think I forget the size, 3/16 or something like that. And then the valves and the T's and all that are 3D printed. Got them off of eBay really reasonably, and so you just kind of dress that all up for that. So you got lots of places for the guys to be, and add that in, and still trying to just stay focused on that. I'm getting down to the finish line where I'll have a nice 4x6 table done that I can get a good ruined city, whether it's Stalingrad or Berlin or whatever battlefield done before I kind of leave it behind. I'm sure I'll be adding to it. I've got I think to kind of finish up, I've got a couple more brick buildings kits that were resin. That will be more, they won't be the factory buildings. They'll be more civilian structures. They're like 2- and 3-story brick buildings that are damaged. And then I've I've got a 1/48 scale plastic Stuka kit, a German Stuka dive bomber that I'm going to put as a crashed plane on the battlefield too. So that'll be something I've always wanted to do, is use those 1/48 scale plastic kits. For seen a lot of people do that on YouTube, and so I finally got to take a crack at it. I found a really cheap Revell kit. It was brand new, but I think with shipping and everything, it was less than $20. And so
Yeah, the Revell ones are not
throw that
too
in there, and
expensive.
I think we're just getting down to some of the. Yeah, and it's good enough because I'll be damaging anyway, and I won't be using the landing gear. That'll be broke off and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's been fun. Still enjoying working on that and seeing it start to come together. So and still looking forward to continuing on with my Bretonians. Probably is what I'll jump into next, kind of for the old world, just to add a few more units of stuff that I've already got on hand, but haven't gotten to them yet. It's been a long time since I've painted a miniature. It's been buildings and terrain for months now. I'm looking kind of forward to getting back to that.
Yeah. Well, that's something I need to do, is get into painting terrain.
It's a nice refresher. I mean, from doing the meticulous and the small work, and I was doing American War of Independence all last summer, and so all the little belts and turnbacks and all that. It was nice to just use a wide brush and lots of washes and making them all weathered and stuff. So it was a nice change. But now I'm kind of getting itched to get back to some miniatures.
Yeah, so I got that one piece I printed off that has that Panzer III on it.
I remember last late summer, you were showing me. That looks like a
sweet piece. Printed that out, and then everything went south on me. So
yeah,
motivation for a while there was really slow,
really lacking.
Yeah.
I know how that goes.
Yeah, can you do anything, Palmer?
Yeah. I actually think I can now, because I think he's getting there. So I grabbed the camera though, so I figured, since even if I couldn't, if I didn't have one hand, if I only had one hand, I could still deal with this. But I don't know if you guys recognize this, but this is an pretty old Damon Prince.
I recognize him.
Yeah, if you look at his head, he's not as common, but he's a cool model. One of the things I was thinking about doing, if you look at his head, he's got like kind of a brow that's really furrowed, with he's got like the beady eyes, kind of predator look on his head. Yeah. I'm thinking about taking some green stuff and making a Nurgle eye, big like eye in the middle on his forehead, and just doing a little bit of a conversion with some green stuff and making him Nurgle eyes on him a bit. Because a lot of my pure Damon stuff, and even my Warriors of Chaos, I'm going to have primarily Nurgle. I might have some stuff, to splash in, but it's mostly going to be Nurgle. And so he doesn't look very Nurgle, like as a typical Damon, like as a typical Nurgle stuff. But I'm going to kind of just make him a little bit Nurgleized. And so I was going to do that. And what else I have here is what I'm doing tonight, besides just in the beginning, just getting this guy fixed, is I'm going to be sanding some bases in my Chaos Warriors that I just kind of green stuffed the Slatas yesterday. So I'm going to sand all of those guys while we're on the show. I'm going to sand that Doom Bull for my Beastmen army, as well as this character model that I showed on the channel. Another Kazrak, I think, the One Eye or something like that is his name, I think.
I remember him.
You probably had all these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then...
And what was it? The electric count? They each lost an eye. What was it? Boris Todbringer or something like that. Yeah. I can't remember.
And so if you guys might have saw my video, I've got all the savages there. I've got these guys to my left hand. I've kind of green stuffed the bases a bit, like I did the Slatas, just to make it smooth. And the guys in the back, if I have time, I'll do that too. I'm just kind of working on all this stuff at once. I want to really finish these. Sorry for shaking the cam there. I want to really finish these up so I can move on to my old world stuff. But yeah. And then I think I'm pretty good. I think I finally made this stuff work with the epoxy for this model. He's not moved. So I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, which I was really getting frustrated. I didn't want to like scream on the show, but I was gonna probably lose my mind if this actually fell again.
What were you gluing on, like a limb or an arm or a hip?
Well, it is pinned, like,
Oh,
but
that's what I was
it's
gonna
the
say. Did you
torso.
pin it? Okay.
Yeah, it's pinned, but it's the torso, and it's just a really odd shape. I even had to take the torso and grind it down a little bit to give it more of a cone shape because it was almost fitting in not great. And so
Gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
and so basically for the musty drink, I'm gonna start out with a Rolling Rock.
That doesn't sound good. You're starting out. It's gonna be a long night.
Well, I'm going to start out with a Rolling Rock, and then I always have a backup on the show. And then depending on whether this model falls apart or how the conversation goes, I've got Lismore, an 18-year Scotch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Have you had that one, Rusty?
No, I'm not.
Okay. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's a product of Scotland.
Nice.
There's a theme tonight.
It meets the criteria. And so, yeah, I think other than that, I don't have much else on the table. I will show two things. I had a friend that gave me these as a gift. I thought maybe you guys would be interested in that. I know Joshua's. Looks like also we got Brad has joined too, and as well as Joshua from Crown of Command Games.
Oh, hey guys.
One of my friends gave me this guy for free. One of my
Shock
buddies
attack gun. I got that one.
Yeah, and so that's pretty cool, huh?
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
That
nice
is
little.
awesome.
And then in addition to that, I got this Chaos Sorcerer on a disc.
Yeah, I got
Old
that
school.
one too.
Yeah.
Wow. That's nice. Core.
Yeah. Just handed me just gave me those, which is kind of cool. I gave him some Wood Elves too, old school Wood Elves. But yeah.
Cool.
And so yeah, that's me for the most part.
Lock and load your first round.
It's good sound.
Nobody said BattleTech yet, so I just I had to take a drink and.
I was hoping we'd moved on.
Never
Broke the cycle.
there's two common themes. There we go. Rusty's got the miniature there. There's two themes. We got BattleTech, and then we've got the destruction of Warhammer Fantasy. The theme that always
that just pops
always,
back
the
regardless of the topics. Yeah.
End times.
Oh God, not the end times.
Oh no. We're into time. How about a command vehicle? HQ command vehicle? How about one of those?
Oh, for BattleTech?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got to explain it to me because I don't know my BattleTech.
What?
I know.
We have to fix you sometime.
Yeah. It'd take a while. I got a lot wrong.
Well, over here, we did play a game with Mel and I and his brother. We did one page rules. Mel needs to type in here what the actual one was. We played 2 games on last Saturday. We were trying to
Fantasy or science fiction?
Sci-fi version.
Yeah, what's it called?
I
know what it is.
Yeah, so do I. I just can't. Not remembering the name of the rules. Grim Dark Future. There we go.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You just put it up there.
How did you like it?
It wasn't bad. It was quick and dirty.
Is that your first time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we played a couple games and we realized that we played 2 squads in a vehicle, so it was just more of a learning thing, trying to figure it out. And, if you pin a unit, it's done. It's like it just starts snowballing, really bad.
Huh?
So,
is there a way to rally out of it?
Oh yeah, you can not do anything and become unpinned. So, but then
it has quite a following. That
yeah,
real grim.
Well, it's really simple too.
Sounds like you can use a lot of different miniatures, you know, that you can't squeeze into some other.
Yes,
sets.
exactly.
Oh.
The whole thing
Really
is
simple. That sounds like right up Rusty's alley. Really simple.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
that's that. Oh, I think somebody's kind of throwing down now.
I actually, technically speaking, it is really not up his alley.
That's what I'm
Like-
saying. I'm like, yeah.
Honestly, I'm not insulting him. It's more like he always hates games that are like overly simple.
Yeah, it's like one of the people we used to play with. He always wanted to play Fistful of Lead,
Oh yeah.
and I just hated it because it was like, God, this is so just like you might as well.
Really remedial.
Yeah,
Like Age of Sigmar was another one, right?
Like that when it first came out in particular, it was like I heard, at least that's my understanding, it was super basic.
yeah, very basic. Well, yeah, Age of Sigmar was really basic. It was like I went over and guys were playing this game over at the Warhammer store repeatedly, and it was like, oh, it's a really hard game and everything. And it's like, okay, how's this played? It's like, oh, okay, and I just rolled them up and spit them out. It's like, well, how'd you do so well? It's simple.
Yeah.
It's like I just figured out what the synergy just by looking at it real quick and used it. It's like I used to play War Machine, which is all about synergy, and it's like, yeah, it was easy. You know?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. All right. Here's what I worked on last week, and
Ah,
part of this week,
okay.
4 more Chariots. Oh, I got those guys done. And
Nice.
the fun part is that I got them done. I set them out on this the other day. What was it, Wednesday? I had them sitting out, and I put them out on my stool that I take outside to seal them up with. And it was calm out. Sun's out, nice warm,
I know where
like
this
70
is going.
degrees.
Yeah.
Beautiful day. And I sprayed them, and I sat them down out there, and I went inside to grab some lunch. And all of a sudden, I heard the wind pick up, and I heard this plunk, and the wind, it went from nothing to about 30 miles an hour, just like that, and lifted them up and threw them about 5 feet. And I was out there picking up parts.
That's what they'll look like when my Bretonian lance crams into them.
Oh, man.
Just saying. No, that's a bummer though. So did you have a lot of damage or no?
Yeah, the part is they were resin 3D printed, so they busted up in pieces. So
Oh crap! I didn't remember they were the resin ones.
yeah,
Have you noticed the cheekiness level of our new full-time members on the show has increased dramatically, like since becoming full members?
yeah, pretty much. It's like, yeah, they were nice guys, and all of a sudden you allow them into the club, and they just like the real guys come out. Like, what the heck?
Wow. Just kidding.
It's like, did we really want to add these guys to our club?
Are you rethinking your decision now?
Maybe. So yeah, it's like the other ones I have there in a table back right there.
Okay, I see 'em.
Those are the plastics from GW, and those break too.
Yeah, there's the skeleton ones in general, and then chariots are just there's not a lot to them.
Yeah, it's like that's the problem you have with a lot of. There's no beefiness to them because they're just the bones. You don't have meat on the skeleton. You know, it's like maybe if they were a zombie or something, they have a little bit to them, but they're all
More
bones, so
substance.
it's
They're
like
all bone. Yeah,
they snap
of
off at the
weak points
vertebrae
all
or
over.
the
Yeah,
arms. Go
Yeah.
pretty quickly. So I ended up going through and I glued them together. And this time when I glued them into the chariot, the body parts, they're like they're part of them are glued to the actual chariot or the other models. So it's like kind of reinforce things a bit.
there you go.
All right. And then this week I've been working on these guys.
Yeah, I just started watching your video.
Yeah.
I didn't get it finished yet here this evening.
So that's my Necropolis Knights.
Nice.
Started
Also
working
3D
on-
printed, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's from part of this. Remember, I was telling you about the Kickstarter, the
Yep.
Sands, Armies of the Sands. Kickstarter. The first Kickstarter that they had was some of these models.
Mm.
And I had bought these, and I found out about the Kickstarter, and it's like, oh, I'm not going to buy any more stuff. So I did the Kickstarter. So now I'm going to get these anyway. But
Yeah, they're nice looking.
yeah, they're really nice. And what I did with them is, like, I don't know if this will show up, but you can see the indentations on there.
Yeah. So they
I
fit right in.
put sand on them, and then I wiggled them into the sand, and then I took my liquid super glue and glued that sand down, so it's now has a spot where they can just go slide right into it.
Yeah, it looks really sweet.
So
They look really sweet. We'll see what they look like after Dan's Bretonnian Knights charge into them.
Hey man,
well, these guys might eat Bretonnian Knights.
I don't know. My men at arms are even pretty tough, so I'd back it off a little.
So this is the other ones. It's like I have one set is black and the other ones are brown.
Okay.
So right now, I might print off another set of them just so I can have sets of 4, maybe 5. So
Cool.
that's what I'll be working on tonight.
Those are nice. How many pieces are those?
1,
they
2,
couple?
3, 4, 5, 6. 6 parts.
Okay. I figured it had to be at least 3. Okay.
Yeah. When you look at them, there's a section here, and then a section here, and then there's the upper torso, the
Okay.
head, and then the skeleton gets glued onto the body up top.
So do you pin that too, or is resin bond so well with super glue you don't care?
Yeah, they bond fairly well.
That's
so
what I wondered. Okay. Cool.
I could
When
pin
they
them,
gotta
I
watch
guess, but well, what's the point? You know?
I think the main thing is as long as they're not like super flat shear surfaces. If you're using
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Piece of
rough it up
basic
even. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
And
go.
my drink of the night is Shackleton Scotch.
Cool.
from Scotland.
Scotland.
Earlier tonight I had my rum and coke, but this time I tried the Kraken. It was the first time I've used that rum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have some of that upstairs.
Wall to Wall Wine had a crazy good sale on it. It was
You like
cheaper
it?
than. Yeah, I did. It's got a lot of caramel taste to it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
Some earthy tones.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Some Bretonian flair, maybe, but
All right, we got some comments that come in, and we'll get on to the topics of the night. Then we have Josh. It's hey guys, just gonna have to grab a Musty burger for lunch and listen to you guys. So you said you're 13 or 15 hours ahead of us.
yeah, he's way off. He's on tomorrow, I think, already, right? I mean,
Yeah.
well on his way.
That's
Yeah.
like a must.
I thought he's like 11 in the morning or something. Is that right?
He might be about
When he
12.
commented
I
last.
think it's 12:30.
Okay.
That's a musty burger as opposed to a crusty burger.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
it's
Krusty
Josh
the Clown.
A.
Under the sea.
Or is it Joshua?
I don't know. I
There's
call him
Josh.
both, and I don't even know what he prefers, to be honest.
Well, Palmer said Joshua, and then there's Joshua. It's if
Krusty
you ever
Burger was
watch
crusty.
anybody ever watch Babylon 5 where you have Zathras, there's Zathras, and then Zathras.
I haven't, but I heard it's really good.
Oh, I love the
Yeah.
show, man. It's the best
I don't know.
sci-fi out there. First
I
4
might
seasons are good.
I might buy the first or second season or something because I've heard it's really good.
The first 4 seasons are really good. The 5th season is like the show was really supposed to have been done after 4, but they added an extra season.
Speaking of shows,
So it kind of closes things down a wee bit, but Very Silent Mouse says, I'm awake in here. Dick. And with Brad says, hi, looking nice. Hey, guys. BattleTech. Must drink. Grim Dark Future. That's the name of the game. You might throw sci-fi troops against Tomb Kings. The crossover between Grimdark and Future and Age of Fantasy is really easy, not many complications at all. That's something we talked about maybe doing. Back in the day, it's like you used to be able to do that with Rogue Trader / Fantasy 3rd Edition.
Look at this.
Cross them together.
Did it come apart?
Fell apart.
Oh,
What I'm going to do, I'm going to get some JB Weld. It's time. I'm just
that's serious.
I would
now.
have put some green stuff on it.
Well, I could, but I'm just going to do JB Weld, and then I'll make
He's
some
had
green
it.
stuff around it.
Calling
I'm
out
not
the
even
big gun.
bothering with it tonight. I'm going to wait till I get back to the house where I have some JD Weld. I don't have any in this hobby room, and then I'm just going to do it then.
The Musty Burger was crusty. Their show starts at 12 p.m. my time here. So, yeah, so it is. That's what I said. 12:30. Be 12:30 in the afternoon his time. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Answered.
And Brad says Babylon 5. I enjoy it. It is a very good show. I remember watching it back in the day. I do have a bunch. The members of the cast. I do have their autographs and stuff.
I thought you could say you had their cell phone numbers or something.
Yeah. Green stuff and glue would work. I always put a little bit of tack it together with green stuff and then use liquid super glue to weld it together.
But how heavy would you go with that?
The green stuff?
How heavy would you go? Is there a limit to that?
Well, it depends. If you already got a pin for it, I would put a little bit of green stuff just to weld it together to hold it. And then once it's dried, then I'll just I got this liquid super glue that they sell here that's like water.
Yeah.
And then I would just drip that into the cracks and it just stays pretty dang good.
Yeah. I've got to, maybe I'll try that. Maybe I'll do that. I might even do it tonight later on in the show. I can do that. I have to whip up some green stuff anyway. But I don't know. I usually don't. This is an awkward shape. It's heavy. It's top heavy, but it's also an awkward shape. It's got like the wings and the axe, and it's just. I actually put together the Marvel Universe miniatures game Hulk, which is a tremendous amount of metal, and I used JB Weld for that, and I had no problem. But I might try your suggestion.
What's the name of the that glue? Josh said, I need some Japanese super glue. Is that good? It has the Guinness Book of Records award for put together like JB Weld then.
JB Weld almost said it has like metal in it. It's like it's pretty.
You can drill it. Yeah,
you can angle grind it and everything.
Yeah, used it.
We had one of our friends, he put a hole in the side of his engine block on his motorcycle, and he filled in the hole with the JB Weld and just angle grinded it flat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
The only thing about it is it doesn't set fast. I mean, and so like you have to, if it's a miniature in an odd shape, you got to figure out a way to keep it still.
Well, yeah, there's JB Quick. You've heard of that. It's the same thing, only it's a faster setting formula.
I haven't heard of that. And is it the same thing? Like, is it as tough?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different color tube, and they call it JB Weld, Quick Weld, JB Quick Weld.
How fast is it?
I forget, but it's definitely faster. I always just used it for everything I used it for because it did just set faster. And I didn't.
To me, fast is like 5 to 15 minutes is fast, and anything beyond that.
Yeah, it was that.
Okay.
I mean, I'd look into it. It's the same. Maybe it was a couple bucks higher. It's basically cheap. I used to work at a parts store and we sold it.
Oh, okay.
And I've used it.
Kept you happy.
Yeah.
Well, we have some comment. We got through all the comments. Yes, we did. I guess we can get on to the topics of the night.
There you go.
All right. The first topic of the night. What game setting would you want to be made into a movie or TV series, or a movie TV series into a game? Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll go.
All right.
I'll go. Well, I got all analytical when I read this one. And I started thinking, well, what game would lend itself to the common format for writing stories like that? Adventure stories. You know, you've got your hero, you got your mentor, you got his followers, you got all their backstories that you could put into it. And I was thinking Mordheim. I've hardly ever played the game, but I do have it like the online version, and I played that. And I was thinking that would lend, because it gives it that sort of creativity for your group, and it's based on like a band of guys together, and we're going to go off and do this thing. And see, it would have the freedom where you could be good guys, kind of nefarious, or downright evil. But you could write that like season to season, where you could go with all kinds of different characters. I could see it where you could get like guest stars to come in and play roles that you'd never see them in. Like some guy who's traditionally the good guy, he could come in and be some evil dude with his band of ne'er-do-wells. And I thought Mordheim would be a good one.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, where the creativity and the freedom in that would just be immense. And you could stick to that, that basic format, but you could twist it in different ways. And excuse me. Yeah, I thought of Mordheim would be a good one.
That's cool.
Yeah, that'd be a very good one to.
Yeah, it could
What
be
about a movie into a game? Did you have one for a movie into a game, or no? Movie or show into a game?
I've been so out of movies lately. I really haven't delved into anything enough to have an opinion on that. But going the other way with the game, it was Mordheim for me. But I don't know. There's a lot of most of the shows that really pop into my mind, they've already made games out of. I guess you could do like Mission Impossible stuff.
Yeah.
You think that could be turned into some? Obviously, it's a skirmish game, and there's games out there that would lend itself through their rules and the way they've structured the game to bring that to the tabletop, I think, in some way. But that's just a guess. Like I said, I'm not a big movie guy anymore. And most of the ones that I thought of have already been made. So, but that one would be like a really quirky sort of skirmish game. You can also see it like almost like a co-op,
or even an RPG.
Yeah, where you've got your group has got to work together the way they do in the movie, and you have all these random bad guys and super evil villains and stuff. I think that would be a fun one to do.
Yeah.
The same thing could be said about like Bond.
Yeah.
Be another one where. You
All
have
right.
Sean Connery.
I'll go. I'll go next. So I got a couple of ideas. First one is one that I've talked about on my channel a long time ago. I'm just going to bring it up because I just like the idea. But there's a movie. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Steve McQueen's original movie Papillon.
Yep.
Yeah. So I love that movie. Like, I've read the book, I've seen the remake, I've watched that movie forever, like for decades. And I'd love to have a chase game where the game is all set up to escape like the prison and the island, and then like you have basically mechanics in the game that are AI mechanics where stuff is trying to chase you down. So like tribal headhunters and like the guys, regular like colonial headhunters, like other inmates or settlers on the island, or like soldiers, civilians helping, like everybody's trying to come after you, and I like that setting. Like, I would love for it to be like in, I think it was Honduras, but it was basically it was basically French Guiana.
Yeah.
And so to me, I've always wanted to kind of see that, to the point where I started thinking about mechanics for the AI and stuff myself. So I would love to see that, and that's based on a movie. Another one, and this kind of like lends a little bit to what Tim was saying about how, like, well, I was thinking more skirmish game. It could be RPG, but I think this is kind of ambitious. But I think the old movie Time Bandits.
You play with little people?
Yeah, well, there's somebody that makes the miniatures for the game for that line already.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but I think jumping through time and having scenarios like that you randomly roll depending on where you go to. It's just, the thing is it's kind of like Rangers of Shadow Dude. Like, you would need a lot of different genres and a handful of miniatures, like across the board, for a lot of different genres. But it could be like a fun thing where, like, you're literally having to accomplish a scenario, and you're going to a different place like all the time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that would be kind of interesting.
I think that would be hilarious to play.
Yeah, it'd be ambitious. I think it'd be ambitious. It's not like you could just do a starter set with two, armies and just paint. I mean, it would be less miniatures for each probably thing, but maybe something fun. I thought that would be really cool. Kind of like you said, when it comes to like games that actually to make into like a movie, like, or a TV show, the other way around, it's kind of getting hard, because a lot of stuff I think is been made, like you were saying. One that's a bit glaring that we talk about all the time is Warhammer Fantasy. Like, I don't think they've really ever done one for Warhammer Fantasy. Like, they've barely done it for 40K, but they're doing stuff for 40K, but never for Warhammer Fantasy. So that actually is a bit of a cop out too, because like you said, Mordheim, which is basically an extension of Warhammer Fantasy. But but I think that, I kind of, I guess, agree with that, and I could see even them doing something on an epic battle like Warhammer Fantasy related would be kind of cool. There's a lot of little games that people are making, though, that might be cool. Like, like I haven't played it, but there's that game Ragnarok, which probably you could turn into a cool epic style Viking kind of show. Almost, I don't know, from what I was looking at it, from barely what I know of it, it could almost be like a bit of a Highlander kind of style thing, but more like purely Viking based. I don't know. Like, I don't know too much about the game, but I could see how there are some unique games that could be good settings for shows.
Oh yeah.
That's all I've got.
Yeah, I'd like to see some. There's a lot of shows or games that have, they've done for like a one-off cartoon or something, but
Yeah.
I don't consider cartoons, anime, a movie,
Because you're old school.
Yeah, it's like,
there's a lot of
people
people
have
today
live
do.
action guys in it, then it's not a movie.
I'm the same way, but it's changing. Most people I know, even my age, are really come around to animation as being a legitimate movie. But I'm not really there yet.
Well, you think about we discussed about Warhammer, the fantasy. The closest I say we've gotten for a show, like the Witcher. That's fantasy, but you could easily plug something of that nature into something like the equivalent of the Witcher. You don't have to have a lot of different things to it, but
Yeah, that's true.
I do like the concept of shows like that. Now they have done right now. It's like Henry Cavill is. They've announced that he's going to be doing a 40K series. I don't know where that's going to be located. If that's
Amazon, I thought it's in Amazon.
Yeah, man, that may be it. Now the one that is a glaring miss that's been asked for decades now is BattleTech.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
crappy cartoon that came out in '95, which I don't consider, part of the whole.
That doesn't make the cut. Huh?
What's the name of the big stumpy robot movies? They made a couple of them with the monsters, like the Japanese monsters.
Transformers? Is that what Transformers?
No, it's the has the Gypsy Danger in it. It's the Pacific Rim.
Yes, that almost seems like. Well, I guess it's not really close because there's monsters in it. It's not just humans, but it was like the closest thing I could think of that's come out.
Yeah,
recently.
it's like when we seen the Pacific Rim came out, and I'm seeing these giant, guys are inside them. They're controlling them. It's just like you would with a battle mech. There's a pilot inside those things.
Mm-hmm.
With a Nero, it has a Nero. It's like it's BattleTech, but against giant monsters. Instead of other mechs. So it can be done. We've seen it can be done. Why not?
Yeah, that is interesting, really. Just the concept of, I mean, wouldn't even have to be, BattleTech, like copywritten type thing, just with that theme.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of BattleTech, I was at my local game store, and I marveled that they did have their own stand in the fast mover area, because historically, in the last decade, before BattleTech started to become more popular again, which I would say it has resurfaced over the last number of years, there was a time period where, Rusty, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but there was a time period where it wasn't on the main shelves anymore, and now it is. So they actually have a stand right among everything else, among Bolt Action and among Marvel use miniatures, like the Marvel game Crisis Protocol. Like BattleTech has its own stand of stuff, and I thought that was impressive because I hadn't seen that in a while.
Yeah, that's true. It's always been around. It's just it hadn't been to the point
of a resurgence.
I guess about 15 years ago, it started taking off again. The whole problem was with FASA. They weren't pushing it for a while there, and that's why it got bought out by what the heck are those crappy Fan Pro. They bought it out from FASA, and they really didn't push it until Catalyst took it over.
Okay.
But now
so
go ahead.
Yours was BattleTech.
One of them, yeah. And Warhammer Fantasy is one. Another game system, which actually one game that has gone both directions is Babylon 5. It became a board game too, which is interesting.
That's right.
Because they had the ship combat game system that went with it. Then one that popped into my head when I thought about the topic was let's say burros and badgers.
That was mine. You can't take mine. Yeah, I would agree.
Be like a Beatrix Potter battle.
I mean, like you can make a series out of that, like
oh yeah.
I mean, 45-minute episodes, like on Netflix or whatever, and you could do so much with that, and with the technology they've got now to however they wanted to do it, it could be well done, and I think it would be well received. But
thinking about it, Twilight would be another good one. That game Twilight that I have, because it's so alien looking, it would look kind of like totally out of this world on a show. Like it would be like Dark Crystal or something like that. It would be.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, there have been so many different things out there. You just look at them. It's like, why hasn't anybody made these into movies or TV series? Now they had, it's like a Highlander.
Oh, that's good stuff.
I like the Highlander movie, and then they had the.
I like the series.
Yeah, both.
Since they're bringing it back, maybe they will. Particularly with Cavell, who likes miniatures.
Yep.
Maybe he'll do it. He'll be involved with it.
He's going to be the new Highlander.
I know, so maybe he'll push for
a game,
the licensing of the game.
They had a collectible card game with it at one time, but never a board game or anything like that.
Mm.
So what else do you have there, Dan?
Well, you took my movie one, but that's fine. I'm not bitter.
Not at all.
Well, and then unfortunately, I think I did, because when I thought about it, the first one I came up with, I'm like, I think we did something like this before, because I came up with the same one, and it's still the one I'm sticking to. A book or movie made into a miniature game would be, for me, it'd be Narnia.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's, and I've seen people, because I thought about doing it at one point, about doing a themed, Narnia themed army. And if you Google it, you can find people that have done it. And, they're using miniatures from all different manufacturers. Some of them are really fringe manufacturers. And at this time when I was looking at it, they weren't 3D printing or anything. It was all, plastic and metal miniatures you could buy. I was just think that has some potential, because I don't know if you guys are familiar. There's and I think part for me it's nostalgia, because when I was a kid, my mom, when I was, like elementary school, my mom read those books to us kids. There's 6 of us kids, but we'd sit in the living room before it was bedtime, and we'd gather around, and she was an amazing reader. It was just like, it's like a good, listen to a good storyteller type thing. And she read.
Awesome.
Yeah. I have such good memories of that. And we would sit there, and she read every single one of those Chronicles of Narnia books out loud. We'd read however much each night, depending on what time it was bedtime.
Did you like the movies?
Yeah, I like the movies. They're not for me. And that's why I had a hard time coming up with a movie one, because, I prefer movies if they're just their own thing. I even struggled at times with the Lord of the Rings, because I had read and loved the books a lot, before the movies came out, and I had my own images of what everything is, and it didn't match. And it's funny, I was talking to somebody, I don't know, earlier or sometime in the last year, and I was trying to remember what my mental picture was of different parts of the Lord of the Rings, or the different characters, or the different settings. And I can't even recall it anymore, because it's all been replaced by the movie imagery. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
okay. Yeah, I can see
And,
that.
and so I'm always, but that's why I thought burros and badgers, because it's just, it's just talking animals. There's, they can do that, however, but a thing like, Narnia, or the other one I was going to mention was when I was also in elementary school, my mom, in her small town, we didn't have any, we have bookstores, hobbies. We didn't have hardly anything, but we had a grocery store. And in that grocery store back in those days, there was a huge magazine rack and a huge book, paperback book rack. And they had, because I was starting to get into fantasy. So, I would have been like 4th, 5th grade, right in there. And they had the Wizard of Oz books. And I don't know if you guys have read those. There's a whole series of them.
Yeah.
Huge, thick paperbacks. And the Patchwork Girl of Oz. That's what I can't remember that, but there's a whole bunch of them. You're not 80 of them, but there's, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 of them, or 8 maybe. I don't know. But anyway, so I love that. But I was gonna what I was gonna say, I guess, is then there is and it's not really based so much on the books, but there is a miniature game, The Wars of Oz.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen that.
And does it have flying monkeys?
Yes, it does.
I'd be all over the flying monkeys thing.
It's got Winkies and all, and then what they did, it's based on the books, but then I think it sounds like they followed some of their own, expanded on that world, and added some things, but it's got its own complete 28 millimeter metal miniature range, and it's a large rank and flank stand. It doesn't have individual miniatures. It stands. It looks like a Napoleonic game when it plays, because they've got cannons and all kinds of stuff. But there's like pumpkin men, and then there's people riding like ostrich looking bird things, and
wow.
It's really cool. And there's actually a few of the miniatures that I want to buy just to put in my undead army when I start it, just because they look, I was going to go with a Halloween type theme, or a fall type Midwestern theme. And they had some stuff that would fit in that. So anyway, so then I was always thought, oh man, it'd be cool if they would do a Narnia one. But yeah, so that's what I'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever read the newest addition to the Oz series? They're talking about the beginning of the witch.
You aren't Wicked, you mean? Or
yeah,
it's been made into a musical and everything.
Yeah, I read that.
But that was its own thing, though. The books that were actually written by Frank L. Baum.
Yeah,
back in the day. But
what came first, the movie, the screenplay in the movie, or the books?
The books.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow. See, that's one that I would have thought the movie came first, but that's interesting. So then, does that mean that there was a lot more content not included, even in the original movie, that were in books?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. All those other books were whole other stories on other sections of Oz with other characters, nothing to do with Dorothy or any of that.
They all came out before the movie.
That was just one book. I'm pretty sure all the books were out before the movie, but I would have to review that.
That's impressive. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the earliest fantasy series.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, that was the first thing. I remember when you could see it on TV for the first time, as a kid, because I didn't know about, theaters and all that. So it was like, I remember it was on, and I was just dumbfounded. I was like, this is cool, because there wasn't a lot of fantasy type genre, anything, books or movies or shows. And I was just dumbstruck by it, the whole thing. I loved everything about it. And so then, that's when my mom showed me, like, about the Tolkien books and the Howard Pyle King Arthur books, and which got me into knights and it was just all that, because there wasn't the choices and accessibility that you have nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. I think the first fantasy book I read was The Hobbit. And that was in like 4th grade.
Yeah, that could be about, yeah. Well, yeah, I read The Lord of the Rings before I read The Hobbit, just because I didn't even know about The Hobbit at the time. My mom, and one of the places I found books to read was I'd gotten the 82 was the Dungeons and Dragons, where it had the basic, expert, and companion sets and all that.
Yeah.
And my mom got us that for Christmas one year, and in the back in the credits section there were authors and titles of fantasy books that you could for inspiration. And I went into by then I was in middle school. I went into the library there and I found some of them. I think Ursula Le Guin was one of the authors they suggested. The Wizard of Earthsea was the title, I think, of the book, and had the King Arthur books, and that just opened doors for me. I was like, oh, this is the stuff I always was dreaming about, but I didn't know it was out. I didn't know it was thought I was like the only freak of nature that was like thinking that was cool. So it was
I was in the Army and I was 21 years old before I read my first fantasy book. And it was The Hobbit. And from that moment on, see, where I was stationed at, we had no television. There was just the Armed Forces radio. And we had our stereo systems that we all had. And we were out in the middle of nowhere. And the only thing else to do was to read. And I became a voracious reader. I was a late bloomer into all this sort of stuff. And I just started reading every sci-fi fantasy book I could get my hands on.
Do you ever read the old Tom Swift books?
I could not tell you an author's name to save my life. I mean, I could remember some of the titles of the books.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite books was a book. The title of the book was The Stainless Steel Rat.
Oh, Harrison.
And
I know that one.
I read that, and
those are good.
I thought that was fantastic.
I love those books.
And God, there was just so many. And I tell you what, when I left Germany and I left all those books there because I didn't want to pack them up and bring them home. That's one of my biggest regrets was leaving. As I got older and I discovered this stuff through a friend, I thought, God, I wish I had all those books now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am totally the late bloomer when it comes to fantasy and reading books like that and then playing games. I didn't start playing games until I was in my 30s.
I didn't start playing actual miniature games till recently. I never played. I mean, we made stuff up once in a while, but that's cool.
Yeah. But I'm listening to you tell those stories about your mom reading those books, and I was thinking, oh my God, what sort of an imagination you must have had sitting there, listening to her as a storyteller, as a storyteller.
It is magical. I mean, I can remember like it just happened. Yeah, it was just, I mean, it took you completely away. That's what just got me just obsessed with reading. And I read books all the time. Anything I could get my hands on that was like fantasy, medieval, mystery, anything like that. I was all about it.
I can honestly tell you, Dan, I am so jealous.
It was, my mom was amazing.
I'm going to say another series I enjoyed reading, which they've made into movies, is the Conan, Robert E. Howard books, man.
Oh, God, I read all those.
I read them.
I have them sitting on my books I bought back in the 70s. They're still sitting on the shelves over there.
Did you read the Gore series?
Yes, I love those.
Oh, my God. Slave Girl of Gore and all the... Oh my god!
My
And they
favorite
were
of all of them is Assassin.
and they were so graphic.
Yeah.
Thought, these books are not for kids.
I
Yeah.
was reading them as a kid.
Yeah. Now we know what the problem is.
Yeah, that explains a lot of things.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know what would happen to my head if I would have read that. Oh, all right. I was so impressionable at that time.
Yeah.
No, I was just naive and stupid.
Oh, all kids are. That's what you want to be.
Well, I just think of the.
No, I excelled at.
Oh, you took it to the next level.
I took it to a whole new. I excelled at being naive and stupid.
Well, we got some comments. Let me catch up real quick and see what we got here. Okay, I think that's where Clark said the American Civil War of BattleTech in the format of the early seasons of Game of Thrones. Yeah, that would be really good, really cool. Some combat scenes, but more focusing on the main characters surrounding the events with, leading. I could say, like using it in a Game of Thrones style where you got the intrigue going on, but when he actually does the attack and takes out, and it takes over, then you just go full bore, nothing but battle, war, and then with the intrigue flapping around. But that would be really good. That's a good start to it, the Star League. And I was reading one of the books way back in the day, the BattleTech books, it was back in the 90s, where they talk, it's like reading where they're in their mechs marching along, they're marching through a battlefield of, battle mechs blown up everywhere, parts and bodies and everything. It'll still be graphic. That would be an excellent opening scene type thing where he's walking in, you see this graphic battlefield of mechs just laying everywhere, just carnage.
Yes.
And then it's like, that's the aftermath. You know what happens. It's like, that's the aftermath of the whole thing.
That's the opening shot. Yeah.
That's your and then you flash back to the beginning of having everything.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That I always envisioned something like that. That would be, go through my head all the time. Spirited Away is a very good animated movie, just as a recommendation. Spirited Away. I've never heard of that one.
Me neither.
But then again, I'm not big into anime movies. So, and this Brad says Robot Jocks. Is that an anime movie or something? Maybe. Catalyst Game Labs doesn't consider the BattleTech cartoon as canon either. It's a inverse propaganda. Yeah, it's a commercial. Another way to get the youngsters of the day interested in the game. But they had so many BattleTech video games over the years that they don't need that, that crappy cartoon to sell anything. Okay, I personally would love to see the Dragonlance saga made into a TV series, live action TV series with the production value of Game of Thrones. That would be cool.
Yeah.
If you know nothing, I imagine everybody here knows Dragonlance, but
Yep,
yeah,
read them.
I've read all those books back in the 80s. It's like, I would love, just still have I think I still got half of them. My brother got the other half.
Reread a number of them with my kids not that long ago, like in the last 8 years.
Are
10
they
years.
still good?
Well, they are. I mean, they're like, I was going to bring them up when you guys were talking about books, because when I was younger, those were some of the books. Besides, like when we were in school, like you had like book of the month, like, or you had like a booklet where you could buy books, like you could like
weekly reader book orders.
Yeah, book orders, and I would get my initial books from those, and some of them have been made into movies, like Indian in a Cupboard, and like some different ones.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
But I actually really kind of grew up on the Dragonlance too, like when I really started reading fantasy, and and I would say going back, they're still good. They are, if I remember right, like they are maybe a little written to capture a younger reader too, you know, like, but not bad, like, you know, not like totally bad, but the one thing I think would be interesting, like the production value of Game of Thrones is good, but I don't know that they weren't designed to, they're not written the same way. There's not the intrigue in them like there is, but they would be more comparable to like an adventure story, you know, like
well, the chapter ones.
Yeah. Like a party going on an adventure, which is what they did, right? Like, you know, and so kind of like Lord of the Rings in some ways, you know, like not maybe the same, but just, you know, that idea of a group going out and setting out on an adventure. But yeah, no, those were good. There's some books that I go ahead.
Oh, just because that's a lot of Musty nostalgia there. All that discussion, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it really is.
So,
there were some books that kind of bother. I don't know. From a nostalgia perspective, I can oftentimes find things from when I was really young if I look hard enough, even things I don't remember the name of. But there was some books that I read from my library when I was a kid that I still can't find what they were, where they came from. But they were ones that I really liked that I just literally just checked out of the library.
Kind of cool was the Dragonlance authors. They were at the used to have a sci-fi convention that was pretty big here in Des Moines, and they would come to it.
That's
and they
awesome.
had a guest room where you could go in and talk to them and everything, and party with them and everything.
Yeah, I think I remember you mentioning that. That's cool.
Like Doritos and pop and Coke, or like, okay,
anything you want to say, beer and everything.
Oh, wow!
So, yeah, it was a fun guest room.
Yeah,
it was at the local hotel that was over in Urbandale.
Okay.
What the heck is it? I can't remember the name of the hotel. We used to have a sci-fi convention there, and Mel and I would go to it and play BattleTech there.
BattleTech. You said that because you were thirsty.
Yes. Cheers.
BattleTech.
And Brad said the problem is the license is so over the place with BattleTech. Yeah, they've had a lot of problems with the licensing over the years, flip-flopping around. We can pretend it will happen with our imagination. That sums it up greatly.
Yeah.
They said they have a Highlander game. They do?
Yeah, it's actually like 4 miniatures. It's more like duels between 4 miniatures. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the one you're talking about, right? I almost thought about getting it just because it was Highlander. But it's really like 4 miniatures.
Okay. That might explain why I haven't seen it. They have a Highlander board game from River Horse. Okay. Clark says he does not know Dragonlance. Oh my gosh.
Maybe he's younger. I don't know.
Yes, he's I think Clark's in his 30s, so
well, let's get in there.
Oh, he's a veritable baby.
Might have missed it.
Yeah, that's something you need to look at. If you like fantasy and you like stuff that's in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, there you go.
Yeah, I remember it being good.
I think your green stuff crazy glue mixture, which I use the Gorilla Glue crazy glue variety. I think it's working.
Okay.
However, I said that last time too.
You gotta give it some time, Palmer. You gotta.
Well, you know the good part about the green stuff, I do have it pinned in there, so I'm hoping it's just not going to fall apart down the road. But I will if I drop it. But the good thing about the green stuff is that it provides that strength.
Yeah. Well,
keep it held.
Yeah. Brace
the 2-part epoxy, even though it makes a nice strong bond, ultimately it doesn't really give it any strength while you're waiting. This thing
Yeah.
I can actually hold right now because of the actual green stuff it's sitting in.
Yeah, the green stuff will make it less brittle too, like the epoxy would, in my opinion. But,
Yeah. Because when the green stuff hardens, it fills in just like it's part of the model.
Yeah.
So, and if you use super glue, the green stuff will go into the cracks, and if you use more of a liquid super glue, then it fills in those what remaining voids that you have. Clark says I'll have to check them out. Lots of recommendations today. Didn't know Oz was a book series either. I'm caught up with all the comments. But yeah, there's all kinds of options there when it comes to going the route of movies and into.
Oh yeah.
We got another topic tonight too.
Yes, we do. And topic number 2. Now we could always talk about the first topic if you want to get into the comments and stuff. We'll bring it up. Tabletop games, is it the rules or the components that draw you to play? Which is kind of relates to the first topic in a way.
Yeah, I see what you mean. At first I was like, what? Yeah.
One way or the other, something's going to draw you in and want to play. So, who wants to go first on this one?
I'll go, sure.
Okay.
Well, for me, it's the components, it's the looks, it's definitely. I mean, that draws me in, probably somewhat for obvious reasons, being miniature. It really does for board games for me too, to be honest. But even just for me, I have a hard time passing up a rule book that just looks cool, even if it's a game I know almost for fact I'll never play. But
like BattleTech.
Greg. Yeah, well, I have to. Yeah, I mean, not just any random one, but it has to be one I am interested in. I'm not saying BattleTech isn't that, but just because it's, whether it's the miniature range that will draw my eye, and then, or a fancy, or just a cool looking rule book. I've got some that I just love looking through, even older editions of a game that I have that just, and I'm not just talking about Warhammer Fantasy even there, but, and because for me, it's a visual hobby anyway, a tactile hobby. So that's the big thing. And I don't know, other than you hear about SPQR, it doesn't sound like there's many epic fail rule sets out there. Maybe it doesn't appeal to you, but I tend to do enough research. That's pretty easy to do nowadays, but you can watch videos of people playing it, unboxing it, that you can get I feel like I can get a good sense if it's a game that I'd be interested in playing that has mechanics and rules that will appeal to me. Most of them, I think, like I said, are probably fairly sound for the most part. In this day and age, it doesn't seem like you get flops out there as far as just rules that are broken. But yeah, for me, even I could probably even tolerate a rule set that's maybe not exciting or has a few flaws if it's like everything else about it is just gorgeous. I just can't. I like the shiny stuff, and I don't mean necessarily the new thing, but if it speaks to me visually, I'm in. I just that's probably my first draw. Yeah.
The shiny goldfish syndrome.
Well, yeah, and I guess that wasn't really the right word choice, because it isn't necessarily that it has to be fancy, but it just, because even there's old rule sets that I think the books are gorgeous. I don't know, Tim, if one of you guys I thought had By Fire and Sword. Did you have that, Rusty, or any of you guys? Tim? It's that Polish company, and it's.
I did not. I was going to order that one, and I did not. I regret it too, because I love a good rule book. I collect rule books and read through them, whether I'm going to play the game or not.
Yeah.
But sometimes the artwork and figuring out the way they think.
Yes.
They're thinking about the game and their process is fascinating to me.
and sometimes even like the scenarios or the historical content.
Yeah.
Like you can take the old Warhammer historical books; those are still incredible resources, even if you never even intended to play that game ever. I mean, there's great information in there and great ideas for list building for armies for different periods or different specific, battles or areas. But yeah, because the By Fire and Sword, their first edition that came out in this huge hardcover rule book, and I think Ralph Astley, I don't know if you guys watch his channel ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but he did a pretty close look through that book because I don't remember if their first release was a Kickstarter. This goes back, maybe 8 or 10 years ago when it was first released or something. They just did another Kickstarter, which I think is close to delivering or something now, or it's a second edition or something. But that first rule book, oh my God, to me it's to die for. And I don't even really know anything about that particular period. But I was like, I was following this last Kickstarter, and it's 15 millimeter, which I don't even do, but it was just appealing visually and in every way that it spoke to me, I guess is the way you'd say it, because it wasn't necessarily that that's the best miniatures on the planet. It's or a time period that's just incredibly common to play.
Was that one based on the Great Northern War? Was that the one where you had like Sweden and Russia?
Yeah, you've got Sweden and Austria and Denmark and the Polish Czars and I don't even know enough about the period to know exactly, exact time period, but it just that was just kind of an example of what I'm talking about. It's like I don't even know anything about it, but I see that, and it's just something about it is just looks the way I like the look of it, and so then all of a sudden I'm like, I was almost going to do like one of the starter sets on their Kickstarter, and then I was like, had to be honest with myself, it wasn't that many dollars, but I'm like, I will never get that painted, and I'd have to paint both sides, or I'd never even get to play it. And I thought, I can't.
Just think Polish winged lancers, and you got that time period.
Yeah. That's the thing, and it's a Polish company that puts it out.
Yes. Yeah.
God bless the Polish.
Yep.
So that's
they did a lot of stuff early on when when you think back to early 3D printing and ordering, there were a lot of Polish companies that were leading the way in that.
Yes,
for the longest time.
There's quite a few game designers and board game game designers that are Polish. It's like they've got some of their own miniature, that Cromlech miniature.
Oh yeah, and they got some nice stuff.
They got some nice stuff.
Oh yeah.
He kind of started out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he started out primarily doing stuff for bits for GW when it was not kosher to do that. He was doing like heads for orcs and he was doing like
for the
and he even did some stand-in miniatures that like Nurgle Chaos prints, like a Nurgle. He was doing some cool stuff, but it was at a time when it was a bit dicey.
Yeah.
You remember when that big lawsuit happened with that one particular company?
Oh yeah. They went
Chapter
after
House.
hard.
Is that what you said, Chapter House, or did I say it? I thought I heard maybe somebody say it, but that's who I think they were. Is that Chapter House?
There was a Chapter House lawsuit where they Chapter House won and lost that one.
Yeah,
they won the lawsuit against GW because which is why the result of GW changing and having everything copyrighted with these weird looking names that I still have no idea. Here's some Cromlech bits that I've got.
Oh, nice.
For my 40K stuff. But yeah, it was lawsuit. Chapter House won because they said the stuff that you name is generic enough that's been around. You cannot copyright it. Too bad for you. Okay. The unfortunate thing, Chapter House lost because they've had to fight it. And
did they go bankrupt or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of it. So GW, with their big giant pockets, destroyed a small little company.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, who's next on the answer?
Well, I can
Oh,
add
I'll
a
go
little bit.
next.
Go ahead.
Like my answer is going to surprise anybody.
Yeah, I already know.
Yeah. I mean, if it's historical, my love of history will bring me towards a rule set, and then I'll go in search of what fits.
So if it's rules versus components, what does that mean? So if you have a choice, rules or components?
Rules.
Because your love of history needs to match the
rules. My love of history
rules.
and the rules, I can play it with blocks of wood.
Oh,
You know,
yeah. Yep, you've always said that.
Yeah, a block of wood and different colors, and we'll make it work. To me, the miniatures are like the icing on a cake, especially like, because we live in a time now where they're just so exquisitely done that it's almost an embarrassment of riches for our miniatures that we have now. I mean, because I remember going back when I first started playing Warhammer Fantasy, and my Skaven army, it was all little metal pieces, and it was going to take me 20 years to collect enough Skaven in metal to really field an army, even for back then.
It would bankrupt you trying to build a Skaven army.
Yeah, it would have. I actually got they used to call them Vulcan molds or something. Those hard rubber. You put them in the oven and bake, and they would and you could pour your metal inside that mold and make whatever you wanted. That's how I started doing my Skaven army. Is I started making my own copies of GW shit for my own use. I never sold any, but it was just for my own personal use. Right. Qualifier there. But yeah, those were I could only make like 4 models at a time, and basically,
still pretty cool though.
I just did the spearmen, and the molds would last. I don't know. I bet I could get 20 models out of each one before they would get like where the hot metal would start to erode that.
You start adhering to
rubber.
Apart.
Yeah. And then you'd have to redo them. And it was
still pretty cool.
And if I got a good rule set, the miniatures will come in time. I can get me 2 blocks of wood, movement trays. I remember, here's an example. I was talking to some college kids that were in my martial arts class one time, and my buddy and I, who was also a martial artist, and he's the one that got me into gaming. And these kids had wanted to do it, but they're college kids and they don't have any money. They don't have any money at all. They're living hand to mouth while they're going to school. And I told them, just get bottle caps. Get your like off of a.
They got lots of those in college.
Yeah,
bottle caps.
Yes, and I said you can get those. You can use them, and they come in different colors. Collect whatever you need to. You know what the movement trays are, what the front, and these are basically 20, they're like 25 millimeters, or about an inch wide. They're like 25. So you could mimic whatever you really wanted.
You could paint the face of an orc on the top of
it. Or you could get a sticker and put the sticker on there.
That's even better, yeah.
And then poke a little flag in the top. I mean, I was telling them they could do it. To me, if I've got a good rule system, I'll figure out the other stuff. But in this day and age, with so much stuff out there, that sort of that need just, unless you just have to. If I'm on a desert island somewhere, I'd play it with rocks and sticks. But this day and age, there's so many great models and miniature designers and companies, 3D. It's almost embarrassing how much stuff we have compared to days gone by. And
That's true.
and that's why, if it all went away, if all the manufacturing went away and there was a moratorium on plastic, I'd still find a way to play the game. It wouldn't deter me at all.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Even with the fact that we have greater access to everything now, we're probably still at a greater chance of like tabletop wargaming becoming less and less relevant, even with all of the actual stuff. It's interesting, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
I get, it's funny because I thought I was so clear in my head as to what the answer for this would be for me, and until hearing you guys talk, because my first instinct was to say it's the rules, because the rules the only way I can play a game for any length of time is if the rules are good. If the rules are not good, even though I might be drawn to it, which is what I think the topic is what draws you to it. But so what I immediately was thinking is the rules, and then Dan started talking, because the reality is I find myself more into the miniatures and the painting first, and so then because that draws me, that I guess it's more the components. And when I was thinking components, I was thinking dice and all the components of the game. And in some ways, like my prototypical example of Star Wars X-Wing is like the best game for components ever for me, because the actual miniature itself is on top of a component. Basically your firing arcs and all your stuff below it for the rules are right below the miniature. You've got interesting dice, at a time when not everybody was doing
custom dice.
You've got movement templates that allow you to go in elegant fashions, that wherever you place them down, you have to put the model where you place the movement template down. You have to guess which template you want to use. And then you have the speed dials, that you hide from your opponent, or the maneuver dials. So then they're telling you, and all of that stuff, the components were amazing, and they were so tied into the rules, those components, that it was almost the prototypical example of how components can make a game in some ways. And so
talking about a synergy of all your rules and your physical tools of the game. There's a synergy between the two.
That's amazing.
Just make it up. Like I could say, okay, I'm going to make it up with a protractor and a T-square or something. I'm going to,
but it's not going to be as elegant.
Right.
And that's the thing. The elegance of the way that the game is designed and the components are designed makes it pleasurable. When I was playing X-Wing, truly I felt like I was moving ships along in this really elegant fashion that was being done with all these maneuvers and stuff. And it wasn't pulling out, a tape measure and 6-sided dice and a protractor and trying to blow dust off a book from the 70s to try to figure out how to move these things, and it was just such an elegant game. And so at the end of the day, the rules are what keep me in, because if I don't like the rules, I'll never stay with the game. But the miniatures, so if I go to the French Indian War, which is another one of my hallmark areas I have to like the rule set, but I would not play the game if I didn't like the genre and the miniatures and the whole atmosphere of French Indian War. But then I will never play it. I'll just put them on a shelf and look at them if I don't like the rule set. And so, so I don't know. That's a long-winded answer, but basically what draws me to the game, I guess, is the components. And then ultimately what keeps me there, though, is the rules.
It's almost like do you think the fantasy genre needs a little bit more of what you're talking about than the historical? Because like you're saying, with the historical, a guy is a guy is a guy, and
Mhm.
like you said, you can just put it on the shelf. It's pleasing to you, and I don't know too many historical games other than skirmish thing games that come with an awful lot of those extra things.
But
That
the ones that do, like bolt action, do really well.
yeah,
Like they have the order dice, right?
right.
And that whole mechanic, the rule ties to the order dice, and then the pin markers,
Mhm.
and like they've done well with it, right? Like, and some people may say, and like Dan's getting ready to get out of his seat and start waving his hands at me, but no, but like some people, you said this, Dan, that some people will like criticize it for not being as historically accurate or attentive of a game, but the reality is it's a fun game,
right,
by many people, and probably a big part of the fun of it is actually the rules and the component interaction and the way it's done. Yeah,
because that's what's interesting. What makes a rule? That's a whole nother discussion. But what makes a game successful? Then I mean, it's so many factors. It's it's marketing, obviously. It's quality of components. Of course, it's even just customer service, but the quality of the rule book. Not only is it glossy pages, lots of pictures and examples. Is it easy to read and find things? Is there an index? Is the spine sturdy enough that the pages aren't falling out after a year's use? And is it do the components work well together? People seem to like some different mechanics like that, whether it's got some custom dice or it's got some card play mechanic. People seem to be drawn to some of that. I don't know if it's because it's different or it makes it more interesting because it's like handling the components is fun. The dice, drawing them out of the bag is fun and exciting. That you're creating that little bit of excitement every time you're drawing a die out of that bag, or other games that have similar mechanics where it's like you reveal orders or
just think about, like, maybe I'm wrong in this, but just think about if you had a World War II game, 28 millimeter, where you had some sort of template device that allowed you, every time you moved your tank, it allowed you and showed you how you could move it and where you could place your turret based on the tank. You know what I mean? And think of just how cool that would be. Like it would, like, and maybe that's a wrong example, like historically, like maybe, but if it's no different to me than the way you move ships in Star Wars Armada based on your speed. There's actually an angling, there's this like protracted kind of movement template.
I think I've seen the components.
Yeah, and it allows you to move at different speeds and move your ship only so many degrees depending on the speed.
And your speed, yeah.
And it actually it's great. I mean, I like Armada even better than X-Wing, but it's that's a totally another feature they use to show the velocity and the weight of like an inertia of big ships and turning them in space at different speeds, and it makes it more fun. Like it just makes it's a tool to help you move the things, but it also makes it more fun.
Well, and it's simple and elegant how they do that. The game could get extremely complicated trying to introduce that, but the solution they came up with is so elegant and simple that it works well. So yeah, and you see that sometimes. There's other games that do similar types of things, but that does it extremely well.
No, it's true.
There's something that's popped in my head when you're thinking about components like that would be a game mechanic where you look at your template that's on your, let's say you're talking about tanks, where my template, using the same kind of idea that you have with Star Wars X-Wing, would be that, right, when I'm looking at my vehicle, it's angled like this, and you're over here at this angle, and I'm looking at that angle versus you can tell me what penetration value you would need to punch through my armor due to the fact that I'm sloped and stuff at an angle. Which would be a real interesting kind of mechanic to be put into a game system like that. Adding more realism to it.
Because the trick is adding realism without adding so much weight and complexity that that you can't
And you would be eliminating charts just by looking at what your template is on your vehicle.
Right, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I think the components are meant to give you a feeling that is more authentic and easier to play. It's taking away some of the complexities, but also making it feel elegant and authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And it drives the price of the. Oh, sorry, Rusty, you were saying something.
I haven't made my comments yet, but yeah, go ahead.
Last thing I was just going to say is it drives the price up, but
yes,
I think it's worth it if you enjoy the game more. Like if you enjoy the game more, the price of adding the components is worth it. If it kind of is a shitty game, then like you're not going to like it either way.
Well, yeah, true enough.
And that's the whole thing, is that you got to make the price point easy enough for people to get into it. And you have to give that enjoyment that people want, that will keep them around.
So your comments, Rusty?
I would say the first thing that always draws me into a game system I would look at, is the components. I look at it and it's like, okay, what is this trying to, what is it, how is it, the game itself, when it's sitting there on the box or on the shelf or whatever, or else I'm looking at a release video from said company. Hey, this Kickstarter, this is our miniature that's coming with this Kickstarter, and you will get this or this and this and this. But you still don't really know the mechanics of the game. So the first thing anybody ever sees with any type of game is the mechanic, the components of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of times what's going to draw people in to buy it. Now, what keeps them around maybe is going to be the mechanics of the whole system. You could have a wonderful looking game, but if it's total crap, it's like you're not going to keep people around very long.
And then yet, that like I said, the same thing for me, but yet there are some people that will play a beer and pretzel style game and just have no desire to leave it.
True.
And I think that's getting into like a whole discussion about the types of different wargamers there are out there.
That's true.
Because I actually think in this room, there aren't too many of us that like to play games that don't challenge us in the mechanics for too long.
True. I'd definitely agree with that.
And I don't know. I can't speak for you guys, but this is just my observation.
If it's not
I'd say
challenging
that's true.
enough.
Although, I like to play, whether it's board games or miniature games, and I think we've talked about this before, sometimes I do want like tons of depth. It kind of depends a little like what I got going on in my life or how often I can get the game to the table or something. But sometimes I want it to be challenging, but that doesn't necessarily mean complex.
I agree with that.
Chess is not complex, but that's challenging type of thing. But
yeah,
and sometimes I want to just kind of go through the motions and enjoy the experience.
I'd say chess is complex,
but you know what I mean. The rules are not complex, and it's a simple board with a handful of miniatures. But but to master, it doesn't have to have a 500-page rule book to be.
The variations are difficult. Like when you start thinking of all the.
Because sometimes I want to. Right, and sometimes when I'm gaming with a friend or brother or buddy or something, it's like we're spending part of the time just bullshitting with each other and hanging out and we don't want to. And other times though, we're you're kind of getting deeper into the game and getting more competitive, and so it kind of depends what kind of experience that you're both wanting at that time. So, but to probably have a game that really has a lot of staying power for you and that you're going to keep collecting more stuff for and looking for, it's going to have to be, a challenging game with some depth for sure.
Well, Zombicide is a game that I like to play with my family for a long time, and it's not
Yeah.
the most complex game, but actually it can be challenging.
Mhm.
Playing with a group of people, and just it's fun, And yeah, so I totally agree. Like you can have fun with things, but I think when it comes to like our tabletop games among this group, it seemed like the ones that we spent a lot of time with painting miniatures on and investing long periods of time in are usually with rules
Yeah.
or not things that we find overly simplified that we don't enjoy, or something like that.
Yep. True enough.
But yeah.
Challenge, I think. You always brought up chess. It's a simplistic game that will challenge the masters.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole fruit that bears for a long period of time.
Yeah, I think that's the key. Yeah. If you're looking for longevity or staying power, BattleTech, right?
Yeah.
Talk about staying power.
It's which is an interesting game because you have something that is at the core rules are extremely simple
Mm-hmm.
that anybody, even a 5-year-old, can learn. But when you start adding extra rules and stuff to it, which is it's like an onion, it's like you're going to have stuff that will challenge you.
Mm-hmm.
There's layers to it, and then that's where you start getting into the weeds of it.
Yeah.
Well, I just got a text from my daughter that her car is dead on the side of the road because of the cold, the battery, and yeah, I know we're getting
rescue.
She's like, Dad, I know you're doing something, but when you're done, yeah, it's just because she's not driving enough and it's cold out. And,
yeah, you better go.
So I'm gonna have to bolt a few minutes earlier than usual. So I don't think I've ever had an interruption like this before in the 7 years now of the show. Not this kind, but I have to.
Yep, definitely duty calls.
Throw on some clothes and go out and take care of this. So
family responsibilities take precedence over life.
You gotta do that grown-up stuff.
Actually, really good show tonight, as usual.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
Russ has got some cool looking blue on.
Nice. Yeah, that's I love that shade of blue.
That makes it pop out.
I'm gonna run out into the snow, guys. So I'm gonna.
All right.
Jump
Be safe.
Out. Okay. All right. See you later, guys.
We'll kick out of here.
Palmer.
We'll talk to you later, Palmer.
Yep.
Kids.
Now that he's gone, we can talk all about
him.
Yeah, what kind of nonsense was he talking tonight? Oh my gosh.
Bring in that bus. We're gonna throw him under the bus now.
Yeah. Back up twice. Let's just get him good. Poor guy.
Terrible.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I do think, though, when it comes to playing games, it's like we're a visual animal. What we see first is what's going to draw us in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that process, but in my mind, my visualization takes over from things that I've read.
Yeah.
And photos of, well, not photos, but pictures that I've seen of paintings of knights charging or blocks of infantry clashing. So when I say I can do it with a block of wood, I'm not
You're
just
not kidding.
I'm not no, but what I'm saying is the the visual that you're talking about is in my head. The playing piece on the table is almost immaterial to me.
I know
To
what
my
you're saying.
imagination.
Yeah.
But it comes from that same place that you guys see the miniatures and you see how beautiful they are and you want to paint them and have them and collect them. It's that same bit of imagination when you look at that miniature and you're going to put the color on it and you kind of see it before you. To me, with that simplistic way of play, what's that game that guy does? Pub battles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got the pieces out. That sort of thing to me. Now that harkens way back and to the probably
we're talking the 70s style board.
Yeah, or beyond. I mean earlier.
60s and 70s.
Yeah. Well, you know that's with the the German War College, that's the way they did it. They just moved stuff around and did the math. So to me, it's we're visualizing, but we're visualizing the end product differently. To me, I'm using this block of wood to bring life to my visualization, where you're seeing this beautiful miniature and you can visualize what you're going to make it look like.
Right.
And so it's kind of the same, but not.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's that visualization, and it that is what draws me to games and stuff. So when I read a rule book and stuff like that, if I can take that visualization and see it in my mind, then to me, I have a connection with that rule book. Sometimes I've read stuff where I'm not sure exactly what they're getting at, and so I have a hard time getting the rule book. There was one rules I was reading one time, and I couldn't figure out how they justified. It was like the wider your unit, the larger the frontage of your unit, the further it could move. And in my mind, that was counterintuitive.
Yeah.
If you've ever been in a large formation of guys, the more guys you have, the slower it's going to go.
Yeah, the more unwieldy. Yeah.
No matter how much space it takes up, getting that many extra bodies to move somewhere takes a lot more time. And I can't remember what rule system that was, but I was reading it and I kind of thought, how do they
justify
that on the table? That the wider it is, the faster it moves, and the smaller it is, the slower it moves. I don't know. And to me, when I read something like that and I can't work it out in my head in some sort of real rational way, then I can't play the game. I can't play. And the rest of the rule system might work just fine. But when I see something of so basic as movement in my head, I don't know. But then again, people have called me nuts before, so take that with a grain of salt.
Well, we got some comments here. I'm going to run through them real quick here and see what we got. Where was I left off? Okay, here we go. All right. Mel said, a nice looking table and great game mechanics. That's what drew me into Battleground many years ago. Sadly, it's pretty much defunct now. Yeah, it's something that draws you in first, that visual, which is a lot of us is. then again, there's a lot of games out there that use wooden meeples. So, hey, what can we say? Oh, Chris came in the house. I didn't see Chris come in. Well, hi, Chris.
No, there is. Yeah.
Hello. I did an entire Chaos Army. Oh, yeah, that's when we were talking about building stuff. I used to have a Chaos Dwarf Army way back in the day until somebody stole it.
Somebody stole it. Man, that just
Yeah, that's the one somebody stole from you, right?
the
And
wound
you
that
were
won't
like at a
heal.
gaming store, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at
Yeah.
Mayhem.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Some people.
No, it's not the first time I had something taken at that store. I've had one of my War Machine rule books. I had set it down on the table when we were playing, and then I turned around and was like, where the hell did my rule book go? Someone just walked off.
Good Lord.
When I wasn't looking, they just walked on by and grabbed it and went out the door.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were playing right next to the door at the time. So it's like, and I think the last when I had my Chaos Dwarf Army taken out, we were playing right next to the door, so they could just grab it and run.
Grab it and run. But still, good grief. You'd think, man, that's pretty gutsy. You'd think there's somebody would maybe see him.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
when you got a busy night, people are not looking. So it's like when you're
What a world.
you're engrossed in your own stuff.
No, I
And
know.
what was in it was all my infantry.
Mm.
So
That's painful.
wait a minute, I would
Well,
never
unlike
do-
most dwarf armies, it's all infantry.
yeah, the
Yeah.
big hat infantry.
Yes.
Carrying on with what Tim is saying, back in the day when I was playing DBA, we used to use foam core to cut out different units to make different armies.
There you go.
To try out what we before we bought miniatures. Yeah, it's like before you even. There were many times I'd take index cards and make blocks of infantry.
Yeah. And
You just
work
write
through
on
it.
it. This is
Yeah.
how many, and you put little tick marks on it. It's like there's many guys in it. And it's like just to play to see how this, with this army. I'm not going to spend. Because back in the day when everything was metal, and you get 2 models in a box or blister,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and you're talking $6 at the time is like between $4 to $6 a blister, and you needed to have 100 models. That was a chunk of change.
Oh, yes. it
Yeah, you
was.
wanted to make sure you were pretty jazzed.
My spelling is bad, but Catzilla is on top. Is on my lap, making me sit aside. Yes, yes, Catzilla. His cat roams the battlefield.
Random
And
event.
Catzilla gets very mad when it's not getting attention. It threw a fit the other day on Saturday when we were playing. You sitting there, meow, meow. I was like, hey, you're supposed. I'm the master here. Pay attention to me.
Yeah. I was like,
Catzilla.
yeah.
My buddy had a cat like that. There'd be like 7 or 8 of us in his basement playing, and that cat would come down and he ruled the place. It's like, you guys are here at my request, not
Yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Looking like a
Catzilla.
cat.
Oh, be! Oh no! Here comes Catzilla. Be very, very dangerous.
Godzilla.
He will destroy everything. Oh no! There goes battlefield. Eat it.
Godzilla gonna knock the models off the table. Well, swoosh.
Full thrust used to have similar effects with speed. I put inertia into play. Yeah, man, it's like full thrust was a very fun game. I used to play all the time. Used to play
Full
it over
Thrust.
at the before it was Comics Plus. We used to play over there.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember Comics Plus.
I do not.
Yeah, it was in Des Moines. It was over next to Merle Mall.
Yeah, I remember going there.
It was next door to Riemann Music.
Oh, oh, no kidding.
Yep.
So I do remember Riemann Music because I used to be in.
There was Riemann Music was on the east side of the building, and the west side was Comics Plus.
Okay.
used to play Fantasy Battle all the time. BattleTech, Fantasy Battle, and Full Thrust. What was the infantry game from the same company?
I don't know.
Use polyhedral dice, D4s to D12s. Mel might remember it. And let's see, Catzilla. Full Thrust is great for that. Yeah, that was wonderful. Chutes and Ladders is complex. Well, the one guy that's no longer in our group, that would be his complexity of Chutes and Ladders. Easy to learn, hard to master, especially with a 4-year-old. That is what one-page rules use as headline for their games. Complex but hard to matter. Dad to the rescue. Eye Candy. Candyland. There you go. That's another one. Candyland.
Oh, yeah.
We use painted blocks of 2x4 and 2x2s in the Army. Yeah, there were times, well, heck, Mel and I used to cut out, we spent a day using his bandsaw. We cut up a bunch of wood blocks into vehicles for games just to play.
That's great.
15 mil game. Made out of wood blocks. Just cut them to angles and stuff. Thanks for the show, guys. I'm off to grab some musty beers. All right, enjoy the day. Your day off.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, it would be about 4 o'clock there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Have a good time. Enjoy. I'm sneaking away. Star Grunt. That's it. Yes, Star Grunt. That was an interesting system, Star Grunt, where you could use any type of sci-fi model you wanted. And the mechanics were, depending on the quality of your troops and the distance, would determine what die you would use.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's a lot of games that are coming out with that have adopted that, where they're using different dice for different troop types.
Yeah, troop types.
Playing with the math a little bit, the odds on the different ones, where the difference between a die 4 and die 3s and die 12s and for different
Burrows and
effects.
Badgers does it too.
Yeah.
For different sized critters.
Yeah, it always makes things a lot interesting.
Yeah.
And Dirt Side's the other. See, Dirt Side, Star Grunt, and Full Thrust were all from the same company. And they had some really nice mechanics with it, where your troop quality was determined by polyhedral dice. And that's what I always enjoyed about it, was that you're getting different. You're not just playing with a D6 all the time.
Yeah.
And your odds can change. It's like you only save on a D4, which is you need a 4 on a D4. Oh, you got a 25% chance. Or versus you save on a you need a 4 or better with a D12. Okay. Your odds are changing, but still, it made some interesting things. It's like, I think you can still download the rules for free.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you ever thought about, it's like the Dirt Side was the 285th scale models. So you're looking at 6 mil there. And you could, in that game system, you could throw battle mechs into it as your walkers in the game. You could use battle mechs from BattleTech.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Ground Zero Games, that was the name of the company. And Star Grunt, Dirt Side, and Full Thrust. Full thrust, I remember, was mostly just D6, but you throw buckets of D6s at each other. And we gravitated towards, because we played Starfleet Battles.
Oh yeah, I played Starfleet Battles.
So if you ever like Starfleet Battles, then you would really enjoy Full Thrust. And it had same. You could make your uses a lot of the same mechanics of your diagrams for your ships and stuff.
That was such a fun. All the shields on the different sides, all the little box you'd tick off, all the boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chris said he still plays all three of them. You don't see that very often, where somebody actually knows Ground Zero games in those three games. And that was back in the day. We used to play Stargrunt. If Mel remembers Gully, Gully and I used to play Stargrunt all the time over at Comics Plus. We do full campaigns every few years. That'd be interesting to do. Playing a full campaign. The construction part of the three games was so fun. Yeah, it's like with Full Thrust being able to design your own ships. It had the points and everything. You just design how you wanted to put your ships together. If you wanted it to be assault style with the glass cannon or whatever you wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Gully is another game designer. What the heck was his? He designed, we helped. There's a World War II and modern. One of the guys around here, he designed an air-to-air combat system. We did play testing on it. Also, we did some play testing on what Gully helped put together was a World War II 285th scale game.
Oh.
You know what Palmer was talking about
Panzer.
Earlier with the Star Wars
Armada
with the different, the way different ships turn and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
that would
different
be
speed.
interesting to do with World War II aircraft.
Yeah,
different.
Oh yeah,
the way the movement is like. Oh, I know why he was comparing that tank. That was it a ship game or something that used the different templates and stuff.
X-wing.
And so take that and do like that basic setup, but with World War II aircraft. Like bombers would only be able to fly a certain. Bombers aren't going to do what a P-51 would do.
Yeah.
Right.
Not at the same rate and turn as sharp and all that kind of stuff.
Did you ever play the Avalon Hill Dauntless or Air Force?
No.
I played Richtoven's War though. That was a hex encounter Avalon Hill game.
Yeah.
World War One.
Let's see. I got Dauntless right up here.
Okay, I never played Dauntless.
And the Air Force and Dauntless, they put it on a hex system, but your turn rate was determined. They tell you what your turn rate, depending on the type of aircraft you had. Like you said, a bomber could only go so far and then make its turn kind of a slow arc versus, a zero is like practically flying in a loop-de-loop
circle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could turn on it's like you have the hex center hex here, and they could just fly around that hex.
The thing I haven't played them, so I don't know how they handle it, but there's a hard way. It's difficult to simulate elevation, though, right? I mean, in aerial combat games, I always think, well, they can do the turn thing, and I've seen some that have the stands that kind of elevate him, or you mark your thing that he's at elevation 1, 2, or 3, or whatever. But it just seems like it's a difficult to do in a 3D miniature game. But
yeah, there's
you know what I mean.
You have to have angle deflection and all that fun stuff as you're going up and down.
Yeah.
And it's best handled. You see a lot of those game systems where they have it on. the aircraft is on a rod.
Yeah.
Has it, the elevation is on the rod, so you go up and down, but then you have to do your banking that it rotates and going down, etc. And you could only turn it so much as you're moving along. So you got your forward movement going on the table, and then you got your angles going around. So eventually, then you have your arc of fire. So if like a P-40 would be try to power as much input as possible for energy input, get your elevation in, and they'll dive down on the zero, while the zero can bank around and get out of the way really quickly. But I always gravitate towards aircraft games too. So
Okay.
And that game I was talking about, Gully up here, we helped play test Jagdpanzer 2. Jagdpanzer 1 was the initial game that came out in the 70s and 80s. And then he took it over, got the rights to it, and we did some play testing and got it all. I got a copy of the rules over here somewhere.
Oh, cool.
It's a fun system.
Sounds cool.
We played it, what was it Origins or Gen Con? I think it was Gen Con. And he had the finalized rules set up, and we were playing over there. And they made the mistake. It's like, guys were wondering, well, like, how the heck are you doing this game? Well, I was a play tester on the system, and I'm a tanker.
Yeah.
So that's like setting up ambushes and just blowing guys to pieces. Like, how the heck are you doing this?
Well, that's my job.
Yeah, definitely. That was my job. That was my weekend day job.
Yeah.
Another fun sci-fi game is Grunts. I haven't heard of that one. Wings of War, Wings of Glory.
Yeah.
That was a predication of the rules that X-Wing was based on.
Oh, okay.
So they use card system to do the turns. It's like you lay down your card and you could use that card to turn. Then with X-Wing, instead of having cards, you had the turn. You put your dial on there to determine how you were going to maneuver your X-Wing or TIE Fighter or whatever craft you have versus the ability of your dial. Put that over, turn it behind it, face down, and then when you turn it over, then you grab that. Depending on your initiative of your guy, you have your turn template. You lay that down and turn as you go.
Oh, okay.
So the guys with the best initiative could turn first and fire, and then the guys that were the crappy pilots, the slow, would be the last to go.
Okay.
If they're still alive. It was an interesting system, but it was based on Wings of War and Wings of Glory. Yeah, Trent did a Star Wars game, then sold it off, and then they turned. We played early in the day, back in the late '90s. We were doing the Star Wars one, and then Trent did the modern aircraft, and he was doing a World War II one too.
Cool.
Oh.
Blood Red Skies. I think that might be the name of it.
Yeah, Blood Red Skies. That's not the Warlord Games one, is it?
Yeah, Blood Red
Yes.
Skies. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, nerds here. Howdy ho.
Hey.
That's all the comments that we have.
Hot up.
And it is 20 after 11.
Ooh, it's about time for this kid
Yeah.
to find his bed.
Yeah, it's after midnight here.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I did some work on my guys. I'm pretty
I
much
got
done with these, I
Bunch of
think.
blue.
Yeah, I've been working on some more command guys for my successor kingdoms, trying to get as much of this project done as I can before I go and squirrel out onto something else.
Yeah. Well, that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what's going to happen as soon as I open that book on the 7 Years War.
You're gonna go down
gone.
a rabbit hole.
Because the French and Indian War were falling there. You could just the options are just going to be
Too much to resist.
Well, you're going to fall down the same hole that we did with American War of Independence.
Oh God.
Yeah. Now, see, I debated on that. I looked into that. Yep.
And
No
sitting
go.
right here in the bago, I picked these up. I got 30 American War of Independence. These are Queen's Rangers.
Wow.
Yo,
Berries.
are those the ones that you got off eBay? You showed me a while back.
Yeah, somebody was selling these Perrys. I got 30 Perry miniatures off eBay for like $20.
Yeah, every once in a while you do.
It's like every once in a while you find they probably bought a bunch for a build some units, and they're like, I don't need this many. So
Yeah.
they're just-
Yeah. Or
Yeah, I
moved
when I
on.
do those. Every once in a while, I'll buy one of their mystery boxes,
yeah.
and
Oh.
I've got stuff like I've got American War of Independence. I've got British troops on that. I have some World War II Italian Alpini troops.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Fruit. And then I got I've got 2 blisters of the metal Fallschirmjägers for bolt action,
Yeah. Here's
Oh.
my
which I'm not going to play, so they're all going to wind up on eBay.
Yeah, right.
Unless one of you guys
Oh,
want them, I mail them to you.
did you say they were Italians?
Yeah, the Alpini troops, the mountain
Yeah.
troops.
I don't foresee myself doing Italians just because.
I have a
Get
box of Italians over here. I just bought myself a box of Italians for my bolt
Oh.
action. It's my future project.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just ordered myself a future project from Warlord Games.
What was it? What was it?
Oh God, one I've looked at for years, and I thought if I get into that, I don't know. And I bought the American Civil War, where it's got both the Confederates and the
Oh, the
The new thing they just released, or the
epic stuff.
no the 28
28
yeah.
that they just are releasing, right?
I don't know if it's just a release, but they had it because I got I do those point things, and I had like 500 and some points, which is about $40 off, and the
Okay.
starter box was like 150, so I got the thing for like 110 and free shipping, so I went ahead and ordered it.
Have you gotten it?
Huh?
Have you gotten it yet?
No, I just ordered it yesterday.
Okay, I just wondering what you thought of the.
I will I will
Report
let you
back.
know. Probably by the next show I should have it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Coming across the pond.
because I thought they bought a line of American of American Civil War minis from somebody that they were re-releasing. Forget what it was a line that I didn't recognize.
Oh, really?
And then they were also releasing some of their own. I just saw this in the last 3 weeks or so.
Well, this is a box full of like the Perry miniature, the Perry plastics.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I just,
Hard to resist that.
I know. I was looking at the different time periods and stuff, and they didn't have like the 7 Years War stuff. And I'm really not enough research on that topic to, oh yeah. Oh, look at
Yeah, a
that.
second here.
Look at that.
Oh,
Look at
that's gorgeous there.
Yeah, that's what I did tonight. The
I
blue.
love the blue.
I love that blue.
What blue color? What are you using? Citadel?
It is
is-
Caldor Sky.
Okay, yep.
Caldor Sky, and then the really light is I mixed white with it.
Okay, that's what I wondered. Outdoor
brighten
sky.
up, the highlight stuff, make it pop. So
That's good stuff. Well done.
Yeah.
Go back to what you're saying.
Oh, I'm afraid when I open up that 7 Years War book, it's going to be on.
It's on.
Be on. I'll just have to.
I know. That's why I'm trying to stay super focused on this Stalingrad thing.
Yeah.
Because once I launch onto my next thing, I'll be on that, and this one I won't come back for a while.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to get as many of these characters done for the Successor Kingdoms stuff, and I still got one more bag of Cavalry. I don't know if I'll get to it or not because I'm kind of getting that itch for something different.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm going to do some old world models. I don't know. I got these Marauders from somewhere. I got to get put together and painted up.
Okay.
Rusty. I mean, you did all that BattleTech stuff I sent you already. Them poor Marauders are still in the bag.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I finally got around and painted all the mechs that you sent me.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Here, I want to show that. It's like, here we go.
Oh.
That right there, which Dan, you see it.
Yeah.
You're looking at my Napoleonic army.
Oh, that's what it got you, huh?
Yeah, I sold off my Napoleonic army or armies I had.
Yeah.
And I bought that thing.
Oh my God. That's an awesome piece of equipment right there.
Yeah, you can see it. It's almost touching the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's a little big.
Is your ceiling open up?
How heavy is that thing?
The mount itself is 100 pounds, 110, something like that.
Holy crap.
The telescope itself is like 35. And with the stuff I added to it, it's probably around 40.
I'm going to call NASA and tell them that Rusty stole their telescope.
There's a picture I took with it.
Oh my.
That's cool as heck.
That is awesome.
How fun is that? Holy moly. I could stand out in my yard and wave at you, and it'd be like I was 6 foot away.
Wow.
That is cool.
That's my other hobby is astronomy.
You'll be ready for the big eclipse that's coming up here. What, in April?
I was going to go to it, but my surgery is going to happen.
Oh, that's right. It's April when your surgery is.
Yeah, so it's like, I'm not sure if it's going to happen or not.
A little inconvenient.
So. Oh my, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Oh, that's great.
I think you're going to find yourself a side hustle. You start printing some of these pictures off.
Yeah, it's a hobby. It's like the kind of stuff I do.
That's pretty cool.
Is that out your back door?
That's Zion National Park. I took that in 2016. That was with just my camera with its telephoto lens. So,
that's fun.
Yeah, it's like I got all kinds of stuff I've done over the years with. What the heck? Was that watching Venus come across? Yeah, I think that was Venus going across.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. That's the comet. You see the comet there.
Oh yeah, I see it. Aired up there. Yep.
So yeah, all kinds of fun stuff.
I guess.
How do you get that thing outside?
I just carry it. I used to be able to carry it, but
now your wife carries it.
Well, as soon as my back is fixed up and raring to go again, I'm going to drag that sucker back out again. But,
right.
You have to get yourself like a little dolly thing all specially made up for that thing. That's 110 pounds.
I think You just need to put a roof that opens up on your house. That would be easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an observatory upstairs,
Right.
like a circular observatory.
That's
You
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
One thing I really want to do is let's see some really up close stuff here. Is be able to build my own observatory where I have a roll off roof where I can actually, because if you look at the telescope, where is it at? Okay, here it is. You see the orange circle right there?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can dismount the leg portion. You see the little two silver dots right below that.
Yeah.
You can back to full screen. You can mount it on a pedestal instead of having the legs, so
Right.
it is permanently mounted, and you can just sit there and just go out, fire it up, hooked up to an actual power supply instead of having to, because I carry a small like motorcycle battery out with it too, to be able to do any type of work.
Wow.
But you just push a little button and the roof retracts across and you can go use it. I had that dream of doing that, but all my neighbors allowed all their trees to grow up around. So now I'm losing the able to, I can't even see the southern sky anymore because of all the trees that my neighbors allowed to grow up. It's like, you remember the, what do you call it? We had Jupiter and Saturn were together.
That alignment thing.
Yes, that was the alignment.
So often.
That 2020.
Yeah.
So there's my pictures of it.
Oh, cool. That's well shot.
Yeah. Another little kind of interesting thing is like we had the radio tower, and it's like, oh, the moon's lined up on it. It's like ready to fork it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scoop it up.
But it's like have lunar eclipses and
That's awesome.
somewhere around here. Oh, maybe go back. Let me see here. Where's the lunar eclipse? Lunar eclipse. Solar eclipse. Here we go.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. It's happening.
I have. There.
Oh, that's a cool looking shot.
That is a great shot.
I pulled that off the video that I took.
Whoa, that is freaking cool.
Yes.
Woo!
Oh my word.
That happened real quick.
Yes.
Is it safe to take this off or
You know, you
no?
can't see it
Oh.
with the glasses on.
For now, we could.
You know that?
There you go.
Look at that. It is awesome.
It is.
Yeah, I like how as soon as you take that off, it's like, oh, hey, there's the sun.
It looks like a pilated cyst.
Yeah.
Or dilated
The you hear that
That
roaring
is
in the
awesome.
background?
You can see
Yeah.
the stars out.
Those are World War II aircraft, bombers, and fighters that were flying overhead.
Are you kidding me at the same time?
Exactly.
Yes,
Wow.
we were getting an air show
Man, that is
and
cool.
an eclipse at the same time.
Wow.
What is it like?
Look
10
at that.
Yeah,
That is,
it
that
makes
is
me wanna
wild.
Oh, and when the cloud's going over, they just dimmed it down so you could probably see it even
Yeah.
better. How's that video?
Yeah, you can't even see it with glasses. It's so dim.
I know.
So now you're experiencing it's like a once in a lifetime. If you ever never seen an eclipse, you have to go do
The
this.
street light came on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, those.
Oh, down by Kansas City, gunfire.
It's the
It's
apocalypse.
favorite time. Yay.
They must not have gotten them all blown up at 4th of July.
Oh my.
This
Here.
place is like,
Here, the
So that was
Yeah, that's
the birds
cool.
aren't calling anymore.
I hate to be a party pooper, but I gotta get out of here.
yeah, I know.
So guys, I'll have to
Yeah,
leave.
me too.
But, yeah. little fun stuff that I like. That's my other hobby.
That's pretty darn cool.
That is an awesome piece of equipment, man. That is. Those are
Well,
miniatures well spent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. At least beat some of the other options you could have went with.
Yep. Oh man, I tell you what, that's oh. On my bench I have ACW Crusades. Wow.
Common Fantasy. Man, that's a little bit of everything right there.
That's the eclectic bench.
Yeah, no boring moment there.
I'm gonna say, sitting on my, turn this right here, you can see underneath the blue, which is my newest
World stuff.
weather station I got to put together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Underneath it is 2 boxes that you can see. That is my ACW stuff that I need to finish working on.
Mm. Yeah.
So when my ACW stuff comes in, I will be reaching out to the collective hive mind on colors and paints and
Oh my.
yeah.
The way I look at it, the only way to play that is in 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have become a fan of 15. It's just that they didn't have it, and that's where I had the extra cash, you know, and there was really nothing else on the website that I really wanted to dive into.
Well, if you had never started and your group has never played ACW, yeah, getting the Warlord Games Epic stuff, that'd be way to go.
Yeah.
Oh, Old Glory's got their ACW 15 mil stuff on sale till the 15th. 10% off plus their discount that you get when you buy if you spend $100 or $200.
Well,
Yeah, that's really tempting.
Pretty cheap.
Get a few more brigades of infantry.
Yeah, did you get the email, Rusty? Because they've got a couple new way they're packaging it too, where you can get more infantry together in one lot that's reduced price, or mixture of cannons. You pick the mixture. I didn't read it real close, but there's a couple new little things that looked appealing. So you're not just keep doing, buying those same like army starter set or the, individual packs.
Yeah, I got the email. I only got as far. I clicked on the link and
Got it yesterday or so.
Yeah.
So I haven't read it all because I've had a bunch of stuff going on. So, but
all right. Well, I think we probably should let you guys go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get wound down. I probably have a busy day tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to say I'm going to have a busy day. But
well, you probably will. I mean, make it as busy as you want.
Right. Retirement comes with its own set of responsibilities, and
with retirement comes great responsibilities and sleeping in if you want to.
Well, sometimes, because I know you get new things you got to do, and I don't know if you got grandkids and stuff. You got
my grandkids live in Kentucky. Yeah,
oh, okay, not right by there. Okay.
No, it's about a 6-hour drive.
Okay, mine's just a little over an hour away, so we get over there all the time.
Just a little. My son moved down there. He's moved to Tennessee first, and then he's moved over by Paducah, and he's east of Paducah, but he works in Paducah. So
I gotcha.
And he's doing really well. I'm real happy for him, and
good. A little ways away, not so bad, but just bop over there.
Yeah, the grandkids are into that Magic. What's it, Magic the Gathering?
Oh yeah. I used to
they just won their divisions in a tournament, so they qualify to go to nationals that I think is going to be like in New Orleans, and then the world championship, if they win down there, the world championships are in Hawaii, I think he said this year. So they'll be going to Hawaii to do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And those card games, man,
I've never played them, never been around them.
I never have. They tried to explain it to old grandpa one time, and I kind of got it, but it was mystifying to me, the complexity that they were talking like they've been playing for years. Like 6 years ago, they were in Indianapolis and we took them to one big tournament and stuff.
Yeah.
And they've been playing for a long time.
Yeah, you got the tournaments that happened at Gen Con and Origins.
Popular around here too.
Yep.
I was one of the original players of that game. When it first came out, I was one of the very first ones that ever played it.
Cool.
And today, I wish I still had all my cards I had from back then. I sold them back around 2000.
Yeah, some of them are hugely valuable.
Yeah. Now there's like, I still got some cards left that are, I got like 10 cards that each of them are worth more than when I sold the entire set for back then.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird to me.
Yeah, it's a different world. It's a whole different.
Yeah, it's a whole nother addiction.
Yeah, it was so funny to listen to my son and his oldest discussing tactics and deck building.
Yeah.
And
it's about deck building.
Yeah, and it was so funny. And my son saying, "Well, you know that deck has never won a tournament or anything." And the last time my grandson said he was taking that deck, and well, he did win with it. So,
wow,
it may not win until someone does. It's this.
Somebody does. Yeah.
Get the right synergy going, and it comes down. The other guys don't have it. Man, you bust them.
Yep,
bust them hard.
I'd be interested to know which if he did take the deck that was that his dad was saying wasn't going to be that good, but that boy's. They're both really smart and they're both really, but they really get into it. I mean, but it's just outside of my. I just don't think I could do it.
It's not in your wheelhouse. It's
not my wheelhouse. I'm just too old and musty to start that.
My son plays Flesh and Blood. It's a newer system of card game like that.
Yeah,
similar to Magic and a different mechanic, but he does really well. They have tournaments here, and he usually places second in the tournaments around here. And the guy that always wins the tournaments they have here, he's always going on to playing in the nationals and stuff that they have for that.
Yeah, okay. Well,
guys, I am gonna boogie out, so I'm
better shut it.
We can sit
here. Good to see you guys.
We better.
All right. Good night.
For a later date.
We'll be on Culver's channel in a couple weeks.
All right.
Everybody for stopping in. Good night.
I'll talk to you later.